Hey everybody, Brian Garcia, meteorologist, National Weather Service, San Francisco Bay Area, Monterey Bay regions. Sorry I haven't gotten you one of these videos in a minute, but let's do the early September update. We're going to look at both the Climate Prediction Center's outlook for the rest of our summer into early fall, as well as the Geographical Area Coordination Center's outlooks for the next 4 months. So let's hop right into it. This is a satellite image I pulled off the web this morning. You can see a little bit of smoke down here in the foothill of the Sierra. There was more smoke up here a couple days ago on the satellite image. Then smoke also up in Northwest California. We do have fires, several fires across the state thanks to a recent dry thunderstorm outbreak. So as we go in to look at the drought monitor, which dropped yesterday, the weekly drought monitor dropped yesterday, you can see that the yellow here, abnormally dry, trying to creep into our service area. San Benito, you're pretty much abnormally dry. And the southeastern quadrant, I guess, or half of Monterey County, abnormally dry. Everything else is relatively, nothing. It's just looking good. A year ago, we were looking good as well. Sonoma was kind of creeping into abnormally dry, but this year, not too bad. In terms of the Climate Prediction Center's seasonal drought outlook, this is valid September, October, November, so it goes right on through the end of November. For our region, it's just blank. Look down at the legend, boom, no drought down here. So that's a good sign of things to come. Looking at the outlooks, this is a 6 to 10 day outlook for temperature and precipitation. Temperature on the left, precipitation on the right. Above means that there is a probability of being above normal. Below means that there's a probability of being below normal. Near normal, hopefully that's self-explanatory. And when you see equal chances, that just means there's nothing to hang our hat on, and there's an equal probability of being above, below, or near normal. So you can see here we're kind of split in the window here for temperature, with the southeastern portion of our service area kind of being in that just slightly higher probability of being below normal, and the very northwest corner of our service area have a slight probability of being above normal for temperature, and then right through the center there about near normal. But look at this big old green area of high probability of being above normal for precipitation, especially for Washington, Oregon, and far northeast California. But even down into the Bay Area and Central Coast, we do have a slightly higher probability of being above normal for precipitation. We'll see how this plays out, but above normal for this time of year isn't a lot. So if we get any precipitation, just expect enough to cause the oils to lift on the roads and make the roads slick. So if it rains, please slow down. Take your time, because the first moisture rain of the season can make for a lot of accidents around our service area. So looking at 8 to 14 day forecast, you can see there on the left, temperature forecast, we have a higher probability of being above normal for temperature, and over on the right, a slightly higher probability of being above normal for precipitation, and really that's just anchored on those first few days of that valid period, September 12th through 18th. The rest of that time frame should be like near normal type precipitation probabilities. Now looking at our summer outlook, and really for the Bay Area and Central Coast, September really is summer. And it is such a beautiful time of the year because we get out of that June gloom, no sky, July, foggiest type stuff, and we just get into some beautiful, beautiful weather. And so we have a higher probability of being above normal for temperature for most of our area. It just leans on the slightly higher probability of being above normal for temperature. And then we're in that equal chances for precipitation. Way up there in Washington, it says above. That's because La Niña is starting to rear its ugly head, so we'll have to see how this plays out and what kind of fronts might drift towards us and just kind of give us a little bit of drip of precipitation. So we go into the rest of the fire season, the seasonal outlook. September, October, November. October is our core fire season for our area. Higher probability of being above normal for temperature for this 3-month composite, and equal chances for precipitation. That means, again, there's nothing to hang our hat on for precipitation, but continued warmth means continued drying of any fuel. So any precipitation that we get in the next 6 to 10 days, 8 to 14 days, it probably will dry out in the weeks following because of being warmer than normal if this outlook plays out. So we're not out of the woods for fire season yet, so please remain vigilant. Now looking at some of the fuels, talking about fire season, here are the different areas we're going to look at. We're going to look at Mid-Coast and Mendocino. We're going to look at the Bay Marine. And we're going to look at Diablo Santa Cruz Range, as well as Central Coast and Central Coast Interior. So let's do it. Energy release components. This essentially, the way I like to think about it, is a composite of all the fuels out there. So in other words, how well can the fuels carry fire should a fire get going in them, right? The higher the blue line, the worse off we are. If the blue line crosses the red, that's bad for that time of year. So the time of year runs along the horizontal axis, and the energy release component, that value runs on the vertical axis. So we're out here in the blue approaching the red, which is max, but then look at that green line. The forecast green line has us dropping like crazy as we get a trough across our area. Everything really cools off and we get a little bit of precipitation. That is a great thing. We want to see that absolutely plummet all the way down to the bottom of this chart. But so long as it's up here in those light greens and even oranges and reds, that means we're still in fire season for sure. Bay Marine, we're starting to drip down into those darker greens with that forecast. That's a good thing. It doesn't mean that everything's going to suddenly become super wet and not burn at all. It just means that the fuels are starting to get more moisture in them, but we need continual moisture to moisten them up to the point where it takes a long period to re-cure them. So as we go down into the Diablo Santa Cruz range, again, you can see that spike with heat we had this last week, and then a drop as we get into that trough and a little bit of precipitation across the region. Central Coast Interior, the South Ops Geographic Area Coordination Center started doing some different graphics. Honestly, I kind of like these. These are nice and clean and pretty looking, but you can see that spike in the blue with the temperatures, and then that sharp drop as that trough comes through with some cooler temperatures and some very moist conditions. So we just want to continue to see that drop. And then look at this Central Coast, think like Big Sur type stuff. That green line, or the blue line, spikes with the heat, and then that blue line goes down as the measurements have been showing a lowering ERC, and then it really plummets in the forecast. So that's all a good thing. So here is the North Ops outlook, the 4-month outlook. I'm not going to bore you by reading all of these, but I will read that last one. Significant fire potential is projected to be above normal all areas during September, then reduced footprint in October with normal potential during November through December. And it shows up like this, that above normal for October. Look at that, Bay Area. Yeah, we know this. This is our fire season. So we're going to be watching this as we go through September, October. Then November, December, everything should start to cool off and should start to get more moisture. Days are getting shorter, so recoveries have more time overnight to really moisten up. South Ops, so when we're talking like San Benito and Monterey, you can see precipitation likely will be well below normal through December, temperatures above normal through December. And then they talk about Santa Ana's down in Southern California. But this whole below normal for precipitation, higher than normal for temperatures, hello La Nina, hence the reason the La Nina Watch. And it shows up like this in their graphics. So you can see Central Coast Interior remains with an above normal probability for large fires. In other words, if a fire gets going, that it can grow quite large under the right weather conditions, and those could be dominant during the month of September. So we'll have to watch that closely. And then it goes to near normal, or the normal area, October through December. So we're not out of the woods yet. So you know what causes wildfires. We've all been through this. You've all seen this. Just make sure that you're not that spark. Lightning's the only natural thing that causes a fire start. You can't do lightning, but you can do a lot of other things. So don't be that spark that starts fire, and help others not to be that spark that starts fire. But with that, thanks for taking the time to watch this. Make sure that you take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and be good to one another. See everybody.